Hey everyone, it's me, Jen, and I'm nothing if not intense. It's Tuesday, September 17th. This video is going to be a little disjointed. I ramble a little bit. I apologize. Started it a couple days ago. I should have scripted it, but I didn't, and I'm not going to go back and do that. But what we're going to see is Mike Turber just flat out lying to us. I'm not quote-unquote debunking him because I think debunking's about theories, and there's no theory behind this. It's just a made-up bullshit story that he wants us to believe. So, tell me what you think, and again, I'm sorry when I ramble, but I couldn't let this one pass by.
37. Would you like to know why the attorneys did not go into Stephen Paddock's room? Remember, they went down there. They 3D mapped the venue the day before the vendors took all the equipment out, and they were not. For some reason, they didn't go into the room, but they had begged and they got a court order to go into the room. So who stopped them from going into Stephen Paddock's room? Who stopped the attorneys, or who basically made the situation in such a way that the attorneys did not go into the room? That's it. 45. Let's see if we get 45 thumbs up here, and I'll tell you that part of the story. We might be out of people doing thumbs up. All that may be left in here, the rest of the 39, then we got 39 to 60, we probably got 20 nutters in here that don't want to do a thumbs up. Come on, nutters, do a thumbs up, because you guys want to know this information too. So all you nutters over there that have basically given me a thumbs down, guess what? You want the information too, right? So switch your thumbs down to a thumbs up and I'll give it to you, because I know you want the information, and I know you're going to say that I'm lying, but guess what? You can't debunk me. You haven't debunked a damn thing I've ever said. So good luck trying to debunk this. That is correct. Bear, that is correct. Thank you, Saint. I am okay. I'll be okay. 40. Come on, this is 45. If you haven't given me a thumbs up already, and if your name reminds you of kitty litter, or toilet bowl, or Nine-Eye, or even JR, smash that thumbs up button. Man, we're stuck at 40. This 41, I can't do. Here, 42. Come on, folks. Alright, I'm going to give it to you anyway. You know that. That's what she said. Okay, so here's the deal. I met Catherine Lombardo on the day that the attorneys went into the venue. That's the day I met her. The reason, after I met her and I got some information, I got a piece of information from someone who you all know. A piece of information from someone you all know, and it was a text message. And guess who told me that the carpet was ripped up out of the room and burned? Stephanie. Everybody remember Stephanie, that beautiful girl? She is the one who told me that the carpet had been pulled up from the room. This is after the attorneys went into the venue. I was given this information, and she said the carpet was ripped up and incinerated. I said, really? So this is me and Stephanie. We talked almost nightly for weeks. I was the first person she contacted, and we talked nightly. And I was trying to tell her that the boogeyman is still out there and all this other stuff. But yeah. So it was an issue for biohazard and everything. Now I'm not saying that they were wrong for doing that, but here's the problem. Catherine Lombardo and the rest of the lawyers all had asked to go into that room earlier. Now here's what they didn't know at the time. Catherine Lombardo and the rest of the team, of course, my main contact with the lawyers, yes, was Catherine Lombardo. And contrary to Carrie's Story's popular belief, I never said I worked for Catherine Lombardo. I never worked for any of the attorneys for any of the attorneys for Las Vegas. Period. Well, there's an attorney in Las Vegas that I have done work for, and her name is Jen. story is this. Not too long after that, they had already ripped up holes in the walls, as you guys saw in that ABC. Was it ABC or whoever it was that was walking down the hallway? I think it was ABC's night, I think. So the walls were basically ripped up. The lawyers wanted to gain access to that area before anything was done, and they were denied, or stonewalled. Is probably the more appropriate answer. And I contacted Catherine Lombardo, and I said, here's the problem. I sent her a long, involved email and a follow-up phone call, and I met with her, and I said, look, here's what's going on. The crime scene was apparently manipulated.
Little fairy tale, he gets sidetracked and starts talking about Levi's the one that leaked the photos again, so we're going to jump ahead here.
Establishes that there's a problem at LVMPD about controlling the crime scene. Objects in that room removed repeatedly. To the point where I actually contacted the lawyers and said, you know what? Going into that room is moot at this point. That room is gutted. And everything, and I told Catherine, I said, literally everything in that room has already been moved. She says, how do you know this? I said, well, trust me, I know. And Catherine Lombardo learned pretty early on to not really ask a whole lot of questions beyond that. But yeah, I told her that. She's not the only attorney I talked to, so don't think she's the only one. Talked to a couple other ones too. Basically, just let them know that, look, there's really you're not going to gain anything from going in there except a view from that room of that angle. And if that's important to you, then press the issue. But if you guys noticed, that whole issue of getting in the room was just all of a sudden dropped. She was on Fox, and they're talking about going to the room. They're going to go to the room next week, and that was just sometime in December when they were going to go to the room, and that was ixnayed. And there's your reason why. Okay? So now you got it. There's your reason.
Oh, yeah, we got it, right? We got it. Thanks, Mike. We got this, man. Nobody could debunk this. Well, I'm not debunking it because it's not a theory. I'm just calling you a fucking liar. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. Like I said, it gets a little rambly, so I do apologize. But thanks so much. And thank you, Mike Turber. Hey everyone, it's me, Jen, and I'm nothing if not intense. Well, if you're outside of Nutterville, that would be nothing if not insane to you poor unfortunates. Anyway, it is Monday, September 16th, and I'd like to unpack what we just heard, which was from a live stream on September 15th. Now, I believe that, just right off the bat, number one, our CSI people do not go into a crime scene and not collect evidence because they have to wait for the lawyers. That's not how it works. There's a crime scene. There is preservation of that crime scene by law enforcement. And then CSI comes in and collects the evidence. They don't just leave it there, because if they left it there, how would they be able to garner any information from that evidence? If they had to wait and leave that evidence wherever it is until potential victims' lawyers show up to view the crime scene. Right from the get, that's bullshit. So, that's just a shit excuse, number one. Yes, now, do I believe that the LVMPD was moving stuff and doing some shit before the actual CSI people got there? Yes, I do. But that has nothing to do with any lawsuit or having the attorneys come in and look at the crime scene. Nothing. because CSI is going to take chunks of wall with bullet fragments. They're going to take chunks of carpet. They're going to take whatever in the hell is evidence. They're not going to just, look at it and be like, oh, no, well, we have to leave it because we have to wait for the attorneys. It doesn't work like that. So number one, right off the bat, that's bullshit when he was saying, well, the attorneys wanted to get in there before they did anything. That's not ever going to happen. Ever, people. So if anybody believes that, then I don't know what to tell you. Number two, why? Just why? What is this little fairy tale in his mind about this? And what is the motivation for it? I don't get it, because why would you almost brag about, well, I convinced them that they don't need to go see the shooter's room? That in and of itself sounds asinine as hell to me. My opinion. You know how that goes. And you know how opinions are. But, I don't understand. Now, we have him saying that he met Catherine Lombardo on the day that they went into the venue and did the 3D mapping and all that good stuff. So that would have been October 31st, 2017. On October 20th, 2017, Rachel Shepard, a victim, her lawyer, had won a restraining order against MGM, Mandalay Bay, to preserve anything and everything that was still left there on the 32nd floor, in 135, 134, or anything regarding the shooting. Did he forget about that? So, unless they had just completely demolished the whole effing place before October 20th, after that date, they couldn't touch a thing in there. MGM, the hotel itself. And actually, I do believe that it was after 10/20 that the police had to go back and collect some more evidence. So, how did everything get so demolished? Because as of 10/20, they weren't supposed to touch anything. And if it was still good on, I need to look that up, but I'm thinking somewhere around October 30th that LVMPD or FBI went back in there and collected the vase and another bullet frag, maybe, something like that. So, obviously, the whole place wasn't demolished. I don't understand why anybody would encourage or think they had the power to convince attorneys who went to law school, passed the bar exam, practicing attorneys, that there would be nothing to gain by going into the shooter's room. I just find it highly, highly unlikely and highly suspect and highly ignorant to even say that out in public on a live stream on your YouTube channel. But I heard it loud and clear. Oh, yes, I did. So here is the restraining order against MGM, October 20th, 2017, from the lawyers representing a victim. This order prevents MGM from sanitizing and destroying evidence of the hotel room the shooter used before victims' representatives have had their one chance to inspect and photograph the room. It was revealed during the hearing that MGM opposed the order and wanted the ability to clean and restore the room, where the gunman set up a shooting gallery above the Las Vegas Strip. But the ruling means MGM is on notice that there will be serious legal consequences if evidence currently in their possession is altered, discarded, lost, destroyed, or otherwise disappears. This also applies to evidence outside the hotel room. So, once again, did Inspector forget about this restraining order? And from the way it sounds, is MGM was wanting to, quote, clean and do whatever, clean and restore the room, but they hadn't yet at this time on October 20th. So his whole premise is just shot right out of the water at this point. But I've got more. But he never once mentions this temporary restraining order. And again, this, flat out says that they have to preserve that evidence. Anything that's in their possession, inside the hotel or outside the hotel, they are under court order to preserve it for the one chance that the victim's attorneys will get to come in and inspect and photograph things. So, but let's go ahead and take a listen to a few interviews with Catherine Lombardo, and I think most of them are with Tucker Carlson, but we're just going to run through a few of those and even unpack this a little bit more.
Although I should say that the MGM Corporate Counsel did meet with us. I actually walked the venue site myself 2 weeks ago per a court order that my legal team secured, and next week we'll be going into the room, the shooter's hotel suite and the 32nd floor. So they are cooperating because the judge ordered them to, and so they are working with us on the parameters of those court orders.
Well, the rest of us are interested to hear what we learn here. Catherine, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Dan Bongino. So you are representing the families of victims and victims themselves, and you're trying to gather information, basic information about what happened. But there are roadblocks in your path. Tell us who's setting those up.
There certainly are some roadblocks, and I certainly don't want to throw anybody under the bus or say anything bad, but I can tell you that we are meeting nothing but resistance. The legal maneuvering and the posturing and the litigation that's been happening so far, we're not getting cooperation from MGM. I wish that we were. And so, unfortunately, now we have to go back into court next week or perhaps the first week of December to ask the judge to sign the order to allow us back, or to allow us into the shooter's room on the 32nd floor, and also to inspect the 32nd floor, the elevator banks. We thought we had this all dialed in and in the bag. As you know, we went into the venue a few weeks ago, but unfortunately, nothing but stall tactics.
How about we take a look at this interview that Catherine Lombardo did with Vents magazine on March 2nd, 2018. Basically, it just goes over her background. She was a musician or a singer at some point, but saw that her friends and colleagues weren't making steady money, and that's kind of what prompted her to go into law. So it was money motivated, which, whatever, everybody has to make a living, so I don't fault her for that one bit. But when we look at the main crux of this interview and the important piece that relates to what I've been talking about, Vance asks her, give us the latest update, we want answers, because she's representing the Las Vegas Massacre victims. And so her reply is, in the past 4 months, we have accomplished so much so quickly. I'm very proud of our work and what we have done for the victims. We've secured a restraining order against MGM, which I spoke about earlier, the owner of Mandalay Bay, from touching the concert venue, from touching the shooter's hotel suite on the 32nd floor. We gained entry into the concert venue last October and spent the entire day from sunup to sundown on the grounds with our group of investigators, photographers, 3D mapping and engineering experts, security experts, and lawyers. The next day, MGM started dismantling everything at the venue, and that's when they let the vendors in. We will be going into the hotel suite soon, when we are ready. Say what, Catherine? this is, again, March 2nd, 2018. We will be going into the hotel suite soon, when we are ready. So, as of March 2nd, they were still pursuing going into the hotel suite, which they should be. They should be. They should have access to that. They should be allowed to go in there and look at things, whatever may be there. Obviously, they're smart enough to know that it's not going to be a perfect replica of the crime scene from the night that it happened, because the evidence was collected. However, they still have a right and an obligation to go into that suite and see what the hell is going on. So, so that differs dramatically from what Mr. Turber was saying on his live stream a couple days ago. Lastly, let's listen to a portion of an interview with Catherine Lombardo on Tucker from June 28th, 2018.
You know, interesting, in that video, I've been in that very hallway, in the stairwell, at the door, there on the 31st floor and the 32nd floor. I was there just some months ago.
What was that you said, Catherine? That you've been in that hallway, that stairwell, and at that door on the 32nd floor? You didn't say the room. However, that's what you got the court order for, so I think it would be safe to assume that if you had access to the 32nd floor at Mandalay Bay, you had access to the shooter's rooms.
You know, interesting, in that video, I've been in that very hallway, in the stairwell, at the door, there on the 31st floor and the 32nd floor. I was there just some months ago.
Nobody can tell me that these professional people, the attorneys, on the advice of Mike Turber, would just take a pass on going into the shooter's room in what is reportedly the largest mass shooting in modern day history. That shit doesn't happen. That's not how things work. You know, they didn't go up there, look at the hallway, look at the elevators, look at the stairwell, get to the rooms, and be like, oh, no, we'll pass. We've talked to Mike Turber, and he said that there would be nothing to gain by going into these rooms. So, yeah, we're going to take his advice. We'll pass. That is the most flippin' ridiculous bunch of BS I've ever heard in my life. So, first of all, why would you even brag about something like that? Maybe because it's a power play? Like, look at me. Look at me. I convinced all these professional people to change their course of their investigation based on my advice. Did you hear where he dropped the little hint of, well, I told Catherine this, and, she learned pretty quickly not to question me. So, those are the things that he does to plant the seeds to the masses of, well, gee, if this attorney didn't question him, who am I to question him? Who am I to question him? In reality, this is all a bunch of made-up bullshit that he is feeding you. But there's an agenda to it. There are things that he needs to accomplish by doing this. Oh my gosh, tickle in my throat, sorry. And it's been my experience that someone with the amount of skills and knowledge and talent that Turber exclaims that he has at any time he has the chance would not be hanging out on YouTube all day conducting themselves in the way he conducts himself, with intimidation, bullying, mind games, just shenanigans. Those people would actually be out in the world utilizing their talents and their skills. They're not sitting on YouTube in a live stream with 34 people where they're not wanted, their opinion isn't wanted or warranted, or their comments, but you interject yourself anyway because you're Mr. Badass, or you want us to think you're Mr. Badass. And typically people that have power, that would have the power to crush somebody, don't sit around talking about it. They just do it. They're just going to do it. They're not going to sit around and talk about it and give somebody 24 hours and make all these demands and all this foolishness. All the foolishness that we see and that we've seen over the past 2 years from this guy. And isn't it a little ironic that the very exclusive footage that he was the only person in the world to get, even the police didn't get it, the FBI, I find it very ironic that it's that very footage that opened a lot of people's eyes to the fuckery that was going on that night. And it changed the course of this community and event and the way that people were looking at things. Without it, I think, without that footage, it would be very different. Now, some people were already aware of the things that didn't add up and the moulage stuff going on, and I had no experience with any of that. I didn't know really anything about it. I didn't know it existed. I was never full-on narrative because I knew things didn't add up, but I was full-on, like, 58 people got killed in that concert venue, and, you don't question that, and blah, 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 until that parking lot video came out. Until once you started really digging into it, it was undeniable that there was some shit going down that certainly wasn't anything like what they were telling us. So I do appreciate that, Mike, because, again, without that footage, things could have went a very different way. You'd probably still have a lot more people over there in Shillville with you, because once that came out over a period of time and people really started looking at it, a lot of Shillville people started migrating towards Nutterville, to reality, to what they were seeing, to the ugly truth of this whole thing. So, again, without that footage, it may have happened, but it wouldn't have happened the way it did, because that was the catalyst. That was the catalyst for me, and I believe that was a catalyst for quite a few other people. So thank you, Mike. I mean, with your exclusive coverage and footage that you've got and that nobody else could get, and, with your wonderful detective work and skills and talents, where would we be without that? So I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now, I did get a chance to ask Mike in Joe Roscoe's live stream yesterday. Mike was the first one in there. First one in Joe Roscoe's live stream. Again, look at me. I'm Mr. Powerful. I want you to know that I can crush you. I'm almighty. Almighty. Whatever, Turber. But anyway, so I'm like, hey, serious question. So you said yesterday, in your live that the attorneys did not look at the rooms. Did they go in to look at anything in the hotel, or did they just concentrate on the venue? I said, serious question, man. Well, in classic Turber fashion, he comes back with, I cannot say where they went, or where I may have taken them. So now he's insinuating that he was the attorney's tour guide, maybe. That, he's so important that the attorneys had to have him there with them, doing whatever they were doing. Because he's such an expert in this, that, the other thing, some more things, that thing, and that other thingy, right? You're over, it's overkill, dude. Overkill. I mean, come on. The humble brags or not so humble brags, the just full out bragging, to me, all those things is dropping these little hints in the cloak and dagger and, look at me, look what I can get, but I can't tell you the details of it. And, the details, the devil is in the details. And I truly believe that because I'm a very detailed person. But I do understand why Mike Turber could never go into the details on some of this stuff. Because how the F can you go into the details when the details don't exist? When there are simply no details, because what the details relate to is made up bullshit. So obviously there's not going to be any details other than the details of how the fuck you thought this one up. And obviously he's not going to share that with us. So I do understand that, Mike. So anytime that you can't share the details, I understand. I totally get it. Just know that Nene knows, she knows what's going on. She understands. She understands fully. You were pretty adamant. You were very adamant that this is what went down. And I'm very adamant that that is totally a lie. Because over the course of the interviews with Catherine Lombardo and Tucker Carlson, that issue, the issue of the room was never dropped. It was not dropped. You did not convince anybody to do shit, Turber. So go float your little fairy tales somewhere else. Normally, I let a lot of shit roll. I notice a lot of things, but my God, if I made a video every time Turber had a fairy tale, that's all I would do. So, but with this one, something just hit me wrong, and I just could not let it go. Because it's just so blatantly untrue and fucking ridiculous that you would try to convince anybody that that shit happened. It's quite pathetic. It's really pathetic. I'm sorry. It's so pathetic. But you can disagree with me. Anybody can disagree with me. You want to hang your hat on this person who is a fraud and a liar, in my opinion, based on his actions. Based on his actions. Because the people that don't see that must never look at his actions and only listen to what he tells you. Because if you only listen to what he tells you, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, He's too honest. He's so empathetic. He's this, he's that. And he's, so skilled, talented, thoughtful, just an all-around amazing person. And if you close your eyes and only listen to that, of course, you're going to think that he is this wonderful person. But if you look at his actions, because talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. So that's probably why he does so much of it. Because that's in his price range, okay? talks cheap. He can do it. It doesn't set him back much. So he's all over that. That's in his price range for sure. But it's a man's actions that show you their true intentions and their soul, really. I mean, I'm not trying to bash everything this guy's ever done in his life, but I think he needs to get out of his own way, and he probably is. I mean, I don't deny that he is intelligent and that he probably has some skills and talents. Now, the whole laundry list of bullshit that, like, Breslow reads off, I have no clue. And I'm not going to take the time to vet all of it, because at the end of the day, I really don't give a shit. I really don't care. He can be at any undisclosed location that he wants, that he makes up in his mind and in his head. I'm fine with that. I mean, if that's what he has to do to get himself through the day, go for it. But when it comes to just flat out making something up and then telling it on a live stream to all these people and trying to be so convincing and adamant about it, I have a real problem with that. That is disinformation. That is, again, a power play to see, look what I can do. I can change the course of these attorneys' investigation because I'm Mike Turber and I'm in control and I have all the power and you're just a bunch of little peons. So if you don't toe the line, you better watch out. I have had a gutful, and I personally am not going to take any more of that stuff. And I hardly ever say boo. I mean, I'm sure people know that I'm not a Turber fan, that I don't think that him and Honesty have the greatest relationship. But I've never went any farther than that with him. Never. I have no reason to. I have no desire to. I'm not an insecure person that needs to try to make myself look better on the demise of somebody else. That's not how I work. And I think over the course of the last 2 years, people should know that. I call it like I see it. I am what I am. What you see is what you get. And I'm not perfect by any means. But the way that he talks shit constantly about me, the people I'm closest to, KL, TB, Paladin, Joe Roscoe, it's uncalled for. There's no reason other than to be a distraction, to make a power play, to make himself look like some big badass. It's all false pretense. It's all just a little game in his head. Because Mike Turber, who better to know how big of a piece of shit Mike Turber really is than Mike Turber? He knows. He knows how big of a piece of shit he is. So he needs to do everything on a daily basis not to let that information out. It comes out naturally sometimes, and then he has to overcompensate because, because there's no denying it, But it's the self-aggrandizing, it's the overcompensation, it's the constantly talking about your accomplishments and your skills and who you know and what you do and what secret, I can't tell you this or I'll have to kill you type cloak and dagger bullshit, mindfuck shit. It's all a game. It's all a game, to him. And there's a reason for everything that he does. There is a reason to withhold information. There is a reason for these power plays. And he knows what they are. He knows what they are. And I'm just done. I'm done with it. I've had a gutful. I find it disgusting and nauseating. And at this point, I don't give a fuck. I really don't. He can threaten me all day long. I'm not scared. Again, people that have the power to do something would have already done it by now. So I'm not too worried about that. And if you want to continue to play Mr. Big Badass, go right ahead. I have no problem with that. Like, if that's what your ego needs, go ahead. Just don't come out and tell bullshit, fucking lying stories. That's the last thing this community needs. And if you're all about the community and all about this event and all about the victims, why the fuck do you sit there and lie about things that you do or have done over the past 2 years relating to the Las Vegas shooting? Because that seems to contradict being the professional research investigator, journalist, whatever, that you claim to be. Think about it. Think about it, people. Think about his actions. Forget the constant flow of shit that comes out of his mouth. Look at his actions. Look at what he says versus what he does. And there's your answer. And this video is going to be way too long, but I couldn't let this one go. So I'm going to try to end it here. And don't forget, the devil's in the details. And Nene loves the details. So, catch you guys soon. Thank you so much.